Before we go into the Capital Market Service Act 2007, Offence of Dealing in Securities, let's talk about some of the irregular market act known as up limit and down limit. For your information, if a counter share price goes 30% up or down in a single trade, it is automatically suspended from trading on the Malaysian Bursa. A limit up happens when the market price rises by more than 30% from the previous trading session close price. A limit down occurs when the share price falls by more than 30% from the previous trading session closing price. Okay, now let's talk about offence dealing in securities under Capital Market Service Act 2007. First, issuing false or misleading statement. This happens when a person makes a statement that contains false or misleading information that is likely to affect the price of securities in the stock market or to induce the sale of securities by another person. Second, fraudulent engagement to deal in securities. This demonstrates when a person should not create or publish any misleading, false or deceptive statement or prediction or dishonestly hide material information with the fraudulent goal of inducing others to trade securities. Then, there is insider trading. The indicator when an officer, agent or employee of a corporation of an official of a stock exchange shall not make appropriate use of particular sensitive information received by his position in trading in the security of a corporation to gain an advantage for himself or anybody else. Information about the possibility of the company getting into a significant commercial deal with another business or the possibility of the corporation making a takeover offer or bid to another corporation are examples of such particular secret information. The term agent refers to corporation, banker, advocate, solicitor, auditor, accountant or stockbroker. Okay, now let's talk about short selling. The selling of a security that is owned at the time of the transaction is known as a short sale. A short seller executes a sale transaction first, anticipating a price drop with the goal of repurchasing the share at the lower price and profiting from the difference between the buying and the selling price. The short sale put themselves in a very dangerous situation. There is always the possibility that the price may rise rather than fall, in which case the short seller will be forced to buy the stock at the higher price, resulting in loss rather than gain.
To avoid this, the counter should be suspended, preventing the short seller from purchasing the stock from the market. It will also force him to look for alternative ways to obtain the shares he needs to complete the sale transaction. Let's go to another part, stock market manipulation. Do you recall the earlier offences? Issuing false or misleading statement? Yes, they are all linked. However, the person with the higher rank has the upper hand in this one. It is illegal for a person to apply or participate in two or more transactions in any securities of a corporation that will likely have the effect of raising, lowering, or maintaining the securities price on the stock market with the intent of inducing other people to buy or sell the corporation's or a related corporation's securities. That is why the government set the price ceiling to prevent these kinds of things from happening. It is the restriction of creating a false impression of the price of a securities. Even though there is no contract of sale or purchase, the transaction includes any offer or encouragement to buy or sell. Now, this is the last part, the last offense. We have here false trading and market rigging. We could all assume that the activities have something to do with misleading and inaccurate facts based on the title itself. It is making a false or misleading appearance of active trading in this instance, as well as false or misleading appearance of the market for or the price of any securities on the stock market. Okay, now, you must be wondering what kind of false activities they did. How are they creating a misleading appearance? Let's find out. Here, I'm gonna show you the examples of the activities. First one, completing or participating in any sale or purchasing of securities that does not lead to a change in beneficial ownership. After the purchase or sale of securities, a person who had an interest in the securities before the purchase or sale or a person linked with him has an interest in the securities. The second part, buying or causing the buying of securities at the specific price where he has determined that a person linked with him would sell or cause the selling of the securities at a price that is substantially similar to the buying price. The third part, or the last part, selling or forcing the sale of stocks at a specific price since he has decided for a person linked with him to buy, or causing the buying of securities at a price that is substantially similar to the selling price.
Designated securities. After consulting with the Securities Commission, the Bursa Malaysia may declare a listed counter as designated security if there has been manipulation or excessive speculation on such list counter. On any dealings in counter that have been declared as designated securities, the Bursa Malaysia may impose the following condition. First, impose a margin of cover on all dealings in the counter. Second, restrict dealings in the counter to immediate or prompt begins. Third, restrict a stockbroking firms trade in the counter such that the outstanding contract of the firms at any one time do not exceed 5% of the paid-up capital of the company or such other percentage the Bursa Malaysia may prescribe. Fourth, prohibit any sales on the counter unless the seller delivers the share scrip together with the duly executed transfer from at the time of entering into sale contract. Corner. A corner situation is created in a counter when an individual or group buys up large amount of the stock such that they can control and manipulate the price of the shares in the market, which means that a corner is created when a single interest or group has acquired such control of the affected securities. Such operation is possible on the shares of company with relatively small paid-up capital. How to do that? These market manipulators rely on the share scrip to short sellers and then withdraw the scrip so that the short sellers are forced to buy them at the prices detected as they are not able to get scrip from the market. Thus, after consulting with the Securities Commission, the Bursa Malaysia may declare that a corner exists in the said counter. In such circumstances, the Bursa Malaysia is empowered to postpone the date of delivery of the share scrip, further postpone the date of delivery of the share scrip, and then declare that if the share scrip are still not delivered on any contract by the deadline fixed for the delivery of the scrip, such contract shall be settled not by delivery but by payment of the differences between the buying or selling price for the contract and the fair settlement price fixed by the Bursa Malaysia. Penalties for contravention. A person who commits an offence involving unlawful securities trading is subject to a maximum fine of Rm 1 million, 10 years in prison, or both under the term of Security Industry Act.
I'm going to talk about the Bursa Compensation Fund. The Bursa Compensation Fund is established and maintained by the Bursa pursuant to the Securities Industry Act 1983. It is applied for compensating persons with suffering loss in certain circumstances. First circumstance is when the Bursa Securities pursuant to the CMSA and is applied for the purpose of compensating persons suffering monetary loss in the circumstances as provided under Section 152 of the CMSA. Next circumstance is when the Fidelity Fund of Bursa Malaysia Derivative is also known as Bursa Derivative pursuant and is also applied for the purpose of compensating persons suffering monetary loss in the circumstances as provided under Section 167 of the CMSA. Lastly is when the Bursa Depository pursuant to the Section 51B7 Securities Industry Central Depositories Act 1991 for the purpose of compensating persons suffering loss or damage arising for the circumstances provided under Rule 34.01 of the Rules of Bursa Depository. What is the eligibility? Here we go. Persons who have suffered monetary loss as envisaged under Section 72 of the SIA because of 1. Defalcation or fraudulent misuse of money or other property by a director, officer, employee, or representative of a licensed stockbroking company. 2. Insolvency of the stockbroking company. Now, let's move to the claim process. This claim process is prescribed by the Securities Industry Regulation 1997. First, the claimant need to submit a claim in writing or a statement of claim published together with the Regulation 5 Notice Compensation Fund Panel of Inquiry deliberates on the claim. After that, claimant will receive notification from Bursa on status of claim, and if it's dissatisfied, claimant may appeal within 1 month to the Securities Commission.
Lastly, claimants can collect check if they are successful. For limit of claim, there is a limit to 100,000 ringgit Malaysia per claim and there is no limit per stockbroking company. Last but not least, we are here for the cut-off date for the submission of claims. The submission must be done on or before the date specified by the Regulation 5 notice, not being earlier than 3 months after publication of the said notice, or within 6 months from the date claimants become first aware as prescribed by the regulation.
So that's that. I hope you guys enjoy our presentation. Thank you and goodbye.